How's everyone?
Good. You?
Good. Good. What was the highlight of everyone's day?
I made it through and I didn't kill anybody.
That is a highlight.
I love it.
That requires some celebrating.
And I thought that I was the only one. I just didn't have enough bravery to admit it.
Oh man, so good. So good. What else? Anybody else? Highlight of the day.
Well, I've been doing a little bit of spring cleaning. I cleaned out all my clothes, my dresser, my closet, got bags to give away, and everything looks so nice and clean now.
Yay!
Organized. So
I'm with you. I'm doing some purging, as I've talked about, moving in with Joe at the end of May. So
yeah.
I have lots of piles of donating, recycling, a little bit of trash, trying to keep that to a minimal.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again for your patience. Sorry I had some technical difficulties getting on tonight, but it's Wednesday, Growth Network Community Day. Woo-hoo. Tonight, so I'm just gonna do a little intro for those that haven't been on here before. So I'm Courtney Anderson. You all probably know me by now, but I started the Growth Network Community meeting about 3 months ago already. I can't believe that it's been 3 months that we've been coming on every Wednesday, tuning in to get our nerdiness on and talk about wellness overall. It started with like behavioral habits and the 30 days to healthy living and improving our routines. And it's just kind of blown into learning and growing. And I keep saying leveling up. We just keep leveling up our info, making small actions towards self-compassion, compassion for our gut microbes, compassion for each other, and compassion for our earth microbes, so our soil, because we all share that, and that is something that is hopefully never going to go away. But at the rate that we're treating it, it is a concern. So today, I've talked about environmental toxins over the last couple of years as I have learned more. So I thought it would be cool, interesting to learn a little bit more about environmental toxins and what those really are. And so I put together a little slide for you. Nothing crazy. This week I've tried to keep the info just really basic, because it can be a bit overwhelming when it comes to environmental toxins. So let's start with, well, just kidding. Let's go back a slide. Okay, so environmental toxins. Basically, small amounts of poison found in air, water, food, products, building materials, pretty much everything. And when it comes to what they really are, a lot of it comes naturally from our earth, but we have condensed it to a point where it's actually a toxic level. Does that make sense? Okay. So I found this quote from a very important person in this industry, and I thought it was very helpful. So although the FDA could be the ones looking out for us, they're not. According to Dr. Linda Birnbaum, the director of the U.S. National Toxicology Program, in the U.S., chemicals are considered safe until proven otherwise. Fear-mongering never helps anybody, but denying the existence of concerns is equally harmful. I strongly believe that you have to act when you have concerning information in the absence of certainty. So a lot of science finding these concerns about toxins in our environment, which I'm going to talk more about, they basically are not supported. The science is not always supported because it goes against a lot of what's institutionalized in our world as far as the food industry and medicine and even governing bodies like EPA and FDA. So more and more science is being supported by a lot of nonprofits or private owned third-party testing. So I'll go to the next slide to talk a little bit more about like what these environmental toxins actually are. So when it comes to the earth, we're talking, and we have talked about this, all the pesticides that are utilized, GMOs, heavy metals. Again, heavy metals are from the earth. And yet a lot of the processing that we do to our earth condenses them to a level that is toxic and harmful and linked to disease and cancer. In our water, chemicals, the fishing industry is also a source of toxicity. Has anyone seen, there's, I've had a lot of people ask me this the last week. Has anyone seen the Netflix new documentary called Seaspiracy?
No.
No? I highly recommend it. I haven't watched it yet, Joe. We're going to be watching that soon. But I've heard that it's very eye-opening as far as our human choices and
What
how
was
it's
the name of that, Courtney?
Seaspiracy. So it's on the slide right here, if you can see it. SEASP.
Oh, okay, conspiracy. Okay.
It's like conspiracy, but with a C. It's about water. Okay, and then in the air, there's lots of, I mean, chemicals, heavy metals. Heavy metals tend to be the largest concern when it comes to toxicity in the air. Food, so same kind of thing as the earth. Whatever the earth soaks up, so does our food. So a lot of it has to do with the same pesticides, GMOs, heavy metals, and then in products. So xenoestrogens are something I'm going to talk about, but that's like basically chemicals that act like our own hormones and are changing our bodies and our DNA, along with pesticides and heavy metals. So our current solutions, as we know it in science today, for the earth is to choose to purchase organic. That is literally supporting the earth and reducing the toxins that are sprayed onto it and then us absorbing it. So not only does organic help us as humans, it also helps our earth. B Corp brands, I've talked about this over the months of time. B Corp, so B Corporation is a certification that Arbonne has and worked really hard to obtain. Arbonne is one of the largest companies that has the certification, and there's basically rigorous testing to prove that all of these brands do every meticulous movement possible to prove that they are healthy for humans and the earth, and that obviously they make a profit. So those three elements have to balance to get the B Corp certification. So supporting B Corp companies that have that certification, you're already doing a service for the earth and humans. Water. As far as the filtration, it's very extensive out there. But from what I found, like the number one element to have to filter out all of the negatives is a carbon block. And then another way for us to help out our water health is to reduce our use of recyclable plastic. So I try really hard, and yes, I do. I'm in the business of selling plastic, but everything that Arbonne makes that's plastic, you send back to them and they reuse. So even those harder to use plastics. But leveling up in plastic reduction and trying to not even use it really is a small way that you can help. So unfortunately, I probably mentioned this last week, but with COVID and not being able to use your reusable shopping bags, I mean, plastic bag use has gone haywire. And so I always try to do paper every single time. I even use those paper bags as my garbage. So my garbage is not a plastic bag. I've been using paper bags for my garbage for 2 years at least that I've been living here. So that's one small thing that you can do. But if we all do that one small thing, it really does make a difference. And then we can influence others to do that as well. And then you'll learn in that Seaspiracy documentary, it talks about the fishing industry and how that is. And Abby, I'd love for you to share a little bit about your knowledge with the fish consumption in that industry and its effect on the earth, which the fishing industry is the most damaging to our waterways. Abby, do you want to share something now?
Most of the stuff I do with fish is mostly around. Can you guys hear me? Just wondering.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, cool. Is around salmon and steelhead populations in Idaho. But like it's still, some of that does still apply. You know, like I guess not necessarily. Like our overfishing has been very bad, but also building the dams has been very bad, which also, you know, contributes a lot of waste, contributes a lot of, because they don't produce as much power as more sustainable options do. So it's like, what's the point? But yeah, I mainly do work with like salmon and steelhead populations. But I definitely am looking to watch that movie because I want to be knowledgeable.
Yeah, great. Awesome. Yeah, let's all that'll be our growth work assignment. Let's all check out Seaspiracy and learn what ways that we can help our world and all the beings living on it. Moving on to the food industry, which we've covered almost like every week, but going organic, B Corp brands, 2 small things that you can do for your own wellness when it comes to toxins. And then with products, search for non-toxic brands. Again, B Corps are always the ones that have done all the research already. You already know that label, that certification tells you, I'm good to buy. Go ahead, buy me. Okay, so as far as products go, so these chemicals are found in products that we use on our bodies and around our house. So cleaning items, dish soap, laundry soap, solvents, counter cleaners, bathroom cleaners, everything. So xenoestrogens are toxic chemicals in our surrounding environment, commonly found in plastics, pesticides, phthalates, flame retardants, PCBs, DDTs, BPAs, parabens, cyclosiloxanes, and triclosan. So triclosan is an interesting chemical that in dental hygiene school, we were told that it's like one of the best chemicals to have in your toothpaste. So we all like went out making sure that we had triclosan in our toothpaste. So triclosan is used, basically it is like I was talking about, a xenoestrogen. So if you're reading ahead, it's already there, but it's known to kill a lot of bacteria. So in most things that us humans think are good, like an example that I've learned is that when we found out how to do blood transfusions, that was saving lives. And yet it unfortunately transferred HIV into hundreds of thousands of people as well. So we do things without really checking to see how safe it really is. And so then there's just a lot of detriment that takes place after. So I've heard it in a lot of my resources that we're basically walking lab people because we're not rats. We are being tested on, and it's a matter of how much disease and cancer that they keep finding, and then it's linked to these types of chemicals, and then the chemical is tested, and then it's proven that it's, oh yeah, this creates cancer, and then the government decides to ban it from use. And just to review, like, as far as the FDA is concerned, there are less than 40 ingredients that are linked to cancer and disease that are banned from the use in our products. And then in the European Union, they ban almost 1,400 different types of chemicals and ingredients. And the word chemical is not bad. Like, there's tons of chemicals that our body makes. So the word chemical is not a bad thing, but these toxic ones are being banned from being used, and most of them are man-made, but then many are just condensed heavy metals from our earth that have also been linked to creating cancer. So xenoestrogens, also known as hormone disruptors, are foreign estrogens that act as our own estrogen in our bodies by binding to estrogen receptors and increase the disease pathways in our body. So it's kind of like opening up a highway for inflammation to flow to those areas of our body. They're about 1,000 times stronger than our estrogen, and even more powerful when multiple xenoestrogens are combined. These chemicals are linked to reproductive problems in women and men and lower IQ. So a lot of science is supporting that the reason we have so many allergies, so many developmental disorders like autism, and then later in life, Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, like a lot of these things are being, like the genes are being turned on because of all these types of chemicals that are creating this inflammation and driving the pathways to open them. So xenoestrogens are found in many sources that cannot be controlled: car exhaust, meat, air, water, and much of the carpeting and furniture and paneling that we live with indoors. Xenoestrogens are found in sources we can choose to avoid, like processed foods, pesticides, sugar, refined carbs, and personal care products like toothpaste, deodorant, hair care, cosmetics, skincare, house cleaners, etc. All people are at risk, and in order, starting with the most at risk are babies in the womb. They are fastly developing, then children, then women, then men. The hormone disruptors are linked to early and delayed puberty in children, reproductive problems in men and women with increased issues with fertility, brain development, lower IQ, and cancer. Hormone disruptors are also found in everyday skincare, bath and body care, cosmetics, a list of some metalloestrogens, so that's again heavy metals, parabens, cyclosalate, siloxanes, triclosan toothpaste, the UV screeners, phthalates, and musk. Musk is in all perfumes, so perfumes have a lot of heavy metals in them. So essential oils have been utilized for all the scents in all the cleaner brands, including Arbonne. So essential oils are the way to go when it comes to a scent that's used or a perfume. Humans are exposed to all of these chemicals daily, and measurable levels have been detected in human breast tissue. Currently, there are some 160 hormone disruptors that may be involved in the development of breast cancer. Women are the largest consumers of self-care products, which may be a significant source of the hormone disruptors. So don't fret, because you've already jump-started your body's natural way of detoxing. So you did this through the 30 days to healthy living. So our bodies naturally detox a few ways: poop, urine, sweat, breath, and thoughts. So it's all about a matter of, we can't control all of this coming in, and our bodies are actually so powerful if we fuel them the right way. So if we're fueling them with, again, fiber being the source that our microbes can duplicate, grow, overgrow, poop out all the good stuff that we need, that is the way for our body to be able to handle these toxins that come in, and then eliminate them. But we have to support those pathways: the poop pathway, the pee pathway, the sweat pathway, the breath pathway, and the thought pathway. So when it comes to your energy, your existence, it's a matter of, are you putting effort into allowing these pathways to do what they need to do? And it all stems from the basics: water, foods from the earth, our connection to each other, and our connection to nature, and our mind health. I know we've talked a lot about that the first 7 weeks. So that's pretty basic. That's what I had lined up for us tonight. So I'd love to hear people's thoughts on that information. I do truly hope that I didn't just scare the poop out of you, but maybe you needed that. Maybe you needed to clear out that pathway. So you're welcome. Just kidding. Okay, so yeah, please share. I'll try and turn off the microphone for everybody.
Hey, Court, you
Yes.
were going to talk a little bit about water and filtering it, and what's the best
Okay.
water to use in your house?
Okay. Good, Mom. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to share. Here we go. So this is a really cool brand that, hold on, just kidding. A really cool brand of water. Let's see. I apologize. I'm almost there. Let's see if this one works. Here we go. So this filter that I was considering to purchase, it's called Berkey, and they have a really cool setup with the EWG, which is an environmental workers group, which is a really well-known nonprofit to do so much work toward protecting the environment and humans and the coexistence. So what this website provides is you get to plug in your zip code. So I plugged in a few different people, like a few different members' zip codes. So this one for Lindsay Costello, I plugged in your zip code. So you're in the St. Charles County in Missouri. And so it gives you a report of the type of findings in your water. So let's see. So I looked up, let's just look at the top one. So there's 184 times the appropriate safe amount of this type of chemical, this toxin. So I'll just open it up, and the health risk with this haloacetic acid is cancer. And so it says that this utility provider, so whoever sources the water, has 18.4 ppb. The federal guidance is 17.2, and the EWG nonprofit, their guideline has shown through science that 0.1 is actually the safe amount that a human can tolerate. So then this type of filter talks about how it reduces it by 98%. And then it lists like all of them, but at the top it talks about 17 different contaminants. So if anyone wants, I'll plug in their zip code and we can kind of look over what they've got going on. Anybody?
You can do mine.
Okay, what's yours?
This is Kimberly. 54915.
54915.
915.
Thank you.
Appleton, Wisconsin.
There we go. Appleton Waterworks. Compiling your report. All right, so little bit cleaner than Missouri. So we've got 10 contaminants, 20 total contaminants, 18 removed by this Berkey filter. So look at the top one, trihalomethanes. There's 246 times the federal guideline amount. So the federal guideline says that it should be at a rate of 30.1. The EWG guideline says it should be closer to 0.1, and your water source includes 36.9. So this Berkey filter removes 99.8%. And this, that was the same kind of haloacetic acid as Missouri. Chloroform, 80 times the amount that is technically safe. Yeah, lots of different acids. And a lot of these acid names I've read are heavy metals or man-made toxins. Lots of medications are also dumped improperly, are changing the composition of our waters. Let's see, what else? Nitrates, nitrites. So yeah, I would say that those two top ones, that haloacetic acid and that trihalomethane, are pretty caustic.
Gordon,
Anyone?
you're so good at your pronunciation of all these chemicals.
Yeah, I've been reading about chemicals for quite a long time. Anyone else want me to plug in their zip code?
You can do mine. Okay, 83706. Suez.
All right. Wow, that's surprising with all the discussions we've had about the environment in Idaho.
I know, it is very Suez is actually a pretty decent company.
All right, that's good. So 8 contaminants. Let's see if it's okay. Arsenic is your highest, so 716 times the recommended amount. So it looks like our bodies really can't really manage arsenic. So that's a good one to have removed.
Yeah.
It says arsenic is a potential carcinogen and common contaminant in drinking water. Arsenic causes thousands of cases of cancer each year in the US. I know that a lot of grains and proteins, I've learned protein powders have a lot of arsenic connected to them. Arbonne has awesome testing and is arsenic free. Then that same haloacetic acids, and then also the trihalomethanes are higher. So seems to be the problem across the nation, those two big ones.
I bet that Meridians would be way worse though. That's like the city over from us. They're like,
Do you want to look at it? What was
yeah, 83706. Yeah.
Oh,
What? I'm moving over there.
Well, just get a filter. Well, a lot different. Uranium, the trihalomethanes, the haloacetic. So radium, yikes. And nitrate and chromium. Okay, Jerry, let's do yours.
60142.
You're in Huntley.
Yeah.
10 contaminants.
Mhm.
102 of those trihalomethanes. Let's look at, so the description, trihalomethanes are cancer-causing contaminants that form during water treatment with chlorine and other disinfectants. The total trihalomethanes group include 4 chemicals: chloroform, bromodichloromethane, dibromochloromethane, and bromoform.
Well,
Chloroform, that one I know. Chloroform is what knocks people out. So no wonder people have all these energy issues. Anyone else want me to check their zip code?
Me next.
What's yours?
32256.
And then probably the top one.
JEA, the top one. Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I feel like we need a drum roll. 5. That's the lowest.
Wow. I am
Wow.
so surprised.
That's great. Let's see. Okay, those trihalomethanes, and then the haloacetics, and then radium, strontium, and chlorate.
Wow.
All right.
Oh,
Not too shabby. I think mine's like 12 or something. Anybody else want me to check theirs?
Can you do 53188?
Oh, just kidding. Do you know if you're in Waukesha?
Yeah,
Is that Mel?
yeah.
Hey. I can't see everyone's face because I'm sharing the screen. 12 contaminant. Arsenic being the highest, then radium. Wow, so those are higher. And then those trihalomethanes, the bromochloromethane, haloacetics, strontium, chloroform. Let's just look at chloroform. So it looks like all of them are linked to cancer. Chloroform, one of the total trihalomethanes, is formed when chlorine and other disinfectants are used to treat drinking water. Chloroform and other disinfectant byproducts increase the risk of cancer and may cause problems during pregnancy. Interesting.
Waukesha is known for their terrible water, so
Yeah.
not a surprise.
Poop.
So
Radium.
Courtney,
Yes.
do you use a Berkey filter?
I don't. I looked at, I can pull it up, the one that I used.
With my water being so terrible, I do have to honestly say, I actually haven't been drinking my water. I'm a terrible person and I buy jugs of water. There was like a boil order when I first lived here and it just really grossed me out to just think about why is it okay all of a sudden, you know what I mean? Like I couldn't get over that whole boil order thing. And so, but it just seems really wasteful because I mean, I go through at least a gallon a day.
So like, I also looked into like, you know, Hinkley Springs that has those larger 5-pound jugs that you can actually rotate and order. But like Walmart has, like Walmart, Costco, they have their like water systems too. So it would be like type of delivery system where they reuse or refill those bottles. So, and those are cleaner. They're not as clean as some of these other filters, but I mean, if you look up the report and you see that they're filtering out at least those top, 3 or 5 terrible contaminants, then it's better. It's the same thing as like anything. A little bit is better than nothing,
Right.
especially with, if you're at the point where you're leveling up. So let's see, open orders. And then we'll look at past 3 months. Oh, search all orders. Filter. Yeah, so this is the one that I got. It's a water drop brand. I looked at their report and it looked, because like the Berkey one it's extensively pricey, but it's a unit that looks really cool, but it's just a unit that I just decided that I'm in a temporary home, so I didn't want to invest in that at this point. So I looked at it and I thought about it for a while and I was highly considering it, but then I went with this filter, water drop. So I can send this to anybody that's interested, the link. And then I'm gonna look.
Mine will be here tomorrow.
Yay! Yes. Okay, so it looks like mom asked about boiling, if boiling helps. I don't really know if boiling helps.
Based on some research that I've done about distilled water, it removes some of the minerals and the contaminants, but you have to have a special process to be able, when you spill the water out, that you're not getting everything that you just boiled off of it back into it.
Wow.
I know for my drinking habits, because now I'm going to be switching over to the water drop, I'm also going through over a gallon a day, and I switch between distilled drinking water and alkaline. So,
Okay.
I've done some.
How did you decide to choose those two? Like, what are their benefits? Or clearly, I'm really uneducated in water.
Distilled water doesn't have the minerals in it, the calcification. That's why and I don't know if they still say it, but back in the day, when you had an iron, they always told you to use distilled water in it so that it wouldn't like clog up the steam and the stream when you're like spritzing. Most people don't iron anymore, so it's not a big deal. But I know that drinking, and changing between the three, I'm just not saturating myself with the same types of minerals over and over again. So, and believe it or not, distilled water is absolutely amazing for a hangover. So if you're a drinker, distilled water is the way to go to rehydrate yourself quickly, because your kidneys don't have to process as much out of it because it's already got the minerals removed.
Right on. All right. Moses really is happy to know that.
Hi, Moses.
He's a drinker. All right. And then I had some other interesting tabs open about, so I've shared this with a bunch of people. This is such a interesting and eye-opening timeline of the widest used weed killer, glyphosate, which is owned by Monsanto as the brand.
It's actually owned by Bayer Company now. BAYER.
Are you serious? Wow.
Yeah. And before I knew Courtney was doing Arbonne stuff, if you go back and look at my Facebook history, I created the hashtag get Monsanto out of our food chain a long time ago. So it's amazing to me that, we were born, two different moms, same dad, and ended on the same path together. So
Yeah, it is so cool. The earth, the universe was
yeah.
connecting us, magnifying us together again. So I listened to a really interesting podcast about glyphosate, and it was discovered on accident as it was utilized to clean the inside of metal types of machinery to remove all of the gunk that forms. And so it was by accident tossed onto grass, and it was found to only kill the weeds. So it was discovered by accident. And that's when they started to use it in that way. And it basically, as we've talked about in the past, it changes our DNA. And that's where a lot of food allergies, increased toxicity, decreased nutritional value, and antibiotic resistance has been linked to glyphosate. So its history is from 1901. And this link is just so cool. I'm gonna put it in the chat box because I think it's just too cool not to breeze through. Yeah, and there's so a lot of like the newer medical and traditional medicine beliefs are that like detoxing stuff is a joke and it doesn't work. And I get where they're coming from, and I do agree that when it comes to detoxing, it should come from clean, non-sprayed earth foods. Like that's the form, that's what's actually feeding your microbes to help all of the ways to eliminate all those pathways to open and for the toxins to release. So I don't disagree with that belief, and that the marketing for detoxing is problematic. I do think it is. It's definitely not something that you can just take a pill and then continue living a lifestyle full of toxicity. That it's just that it doesn't work that way. It's a system, and so you have to fuel a system. But I'll just kind of scroll up as everyone can read over this graphic. So Roundup was founded in 1976. In 1956, Navy tests determined that the hydraulic fluid the company is trying to sell to the military is associated with liver damage in humans. It's just like one thing after the other. 1984, Monsanto pays out millions of dollars to Vietnam veterans exposed to Agent Orange associated with this chemical. 1994, the company introduces its first genetically modified product, recombinant bovine growth hormone, RBGH, in efforts to increase milk production. It's like in everything. So again, there's no way we can totally clean ourselves from getting it. It's in everything. Our air, our water, our food, our earth. But again, we can just do our best. 2012, the company makes strong opposition to California's Proposition 37 that would have required labeling of foods with genetically engineered ingredients. Thanks in part to Monsanto's $8.1 million in donations to the campaign, the initiative fails at the ballot box.
And then when they sold that product from Monsanto to Bayer, they had to go through the FDA and get that sale approved, and it passed.
Yeah. I don't remember the exact position, but one of the higher ups in Monsanto then became some type of higher up in the FDA and EPA.
Mm-hmm.
So it's completely
Corrupt.
yeah. All right. So other thoughts about all of this shenanigans, all the toxins? Yeah, really. So yeah, Monsanto board members have worked or advised for the EPA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, presidential advisory committees, universities, international trade councils, and science academics. So it's very intertwined. It touches all of the top food companies, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, control of all the farmers. Like, and I feel for the farmers, like they don't, if it's been grandfathered into their farm, like they're locked. I feel so bad for them. Like the sustainable farmers are working so hard to gain monetary support for these grandfathered farms that are run by Monsanto.
Courtney, weren't you telling us that, and I can't remember if you had told us or if I read this somewhere, but there are different like little groups of people that are like constructing buildings to farm food in so that it's not contaminated by the outside, that's already full of toxins.
Yeah, like hydroponic farms, I believe they're
Yes.
called. Yeah.
Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you. Mhm.
Yeah. So interesting. But also sad because like so much nutrients comes from the earth. So like and I am learning about that. It's been going on for a couple decades, but it is growing because of all of these toxins and contaminants
Mhm.
farming.
Mhm.
But yeah, they grow outside of soil, I believe. They create a different substrate for the growth. But
Unfortunately, they still rely on water.
yeah, right. Exactly. Everything. We're however many percentage, 87% water.
Yeah.
So weird. We're that much water and we're still like look at us.
Together.
We're like things. Well, yeah, I'm really grateful for all of you listening in and growing your minds and awareness because we all deserve the knowledge. And again, you can believe what you want to believe. You can believe what I'm saying or look into other opinions or other beliefs. Thanks for coming on, Crystal. I didn't even see you. I'm sorry, I can't see everybody. I'm going to unshare my screen so that I can take a look at all your beautiful faces if you're on with your camera, without your camera. Oh, most people don't have their cameras on, but well, thanks again, everybody. Does anyone have any thoughts for next week? We could talk about our Seaspiracy adventure, learning more about that. Any other ideas for our growth work or topics to discuss?
Does Netflix like offer like if you have an account, like you can give me 30 days free so I don't have to buy Netflix?
So I'm going to turn the recording off and we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to say goodbye just for the recording and goodbye. Yes, stop the recording. So I will give you my information and you can log on and watch it.
Okay, you don't have to do that. I was just wondering like how